I wanted to get my hands on this watch for a while, and thankfully now I have the chance. Welcome back to the channel. I am Chris and we are back with another microbrand, and this one is another homage to vintage watches of the past. Today we have a Laurier in for review, and we're looking at the Neptune, which is their flagship diver watch. This is the third generation, which is the generation I really wanted to get my hands on. So did it impress me? Let's have a look. Now before we begin, so you're aware, I will leave links to Laurier's website in the description below. Just keep in mind that most of their models are sold out at the moment, so you're going to have to exercise a little bit of patience if you want to get this watch. Have a look on eBay if you want to shop secondhand. They do have watches available on there. That's where I got this Neptune, was on eBay. When I had a look, it was at a great price, so I managed to snap this one up. Also keep in mind as well that I do leave affiliate links to AliExpress and to Amazon, and what I'm going to do today is have a look at a lot of vintage inspired divers, so those will be in the description below. So let's have a look at the box and package it comes in. So it comes in a nice box. You also get a leather style pouch with it as well, and a small thank you note. You also would usually get a screwdriver because of the bracelet being screw links, and sometimes you get polywatch as well. I didn't get polywatch in mine. I think the previous owner decided to keep a hold of the polywatch. Just a useful little thing to have, but that's no bother to me because I have 4 or 5 different tubs anyway. Now I'm going to rattle off the dimensions and specifications of this watch. First of all, you have a 39mm case width. You have a 12.6mm case thickness. That includes a 12.5mm domed acrylic crystal, 46mm lug to lug, which is nice and compact, 20mm lug width, which tapers down to 16 at the clasp. This watch is easy to remove the bracelet with as well because it has drilled lugs, and the bracelet itself will fit up to a 8-inch wrist or 8.5-inch wrist. I have 7.25-inch wrist, and I had plenty of space and links to remove. So the rest of the specifications of this watch is a screw down crown, 120 click unidirectional bezel, which is quite tinny, but it is okay. Domed Tessellite crystal, so acrylic crystal covering the dial. BGW9 lume, which is a nice lume over the dial itself, and the 12 o'clock lume pip on this version. 316L stainless steel is the construction of the bracelet itself and of the dial. This one is solid links all the way through. It's very difficult to fully articulate these links, but they do at least conform to the wrist quite well. 200 meters of water resistance, as I mentioned before, complements this watch. On the clasp you have 3 micro adjust slots as well. It is a milled class with security pushes. Now for the version 3 there are a few different colorways that you can get. They're not massively varying in variety, but they are slightly different. So the first one that you can get is the blue on white, then you can get blue on gilt, followed by black on white, and then my personal favorite with these watches, the black and gilt. But first of all, let's have a look at this dial. So I really like the fact that you've got applied indices, which has a good amount of lume in. The writing on this watch is pretty simple. You've got the 3 chevrons, which is Laurier's logo, Laurier Automatic at the top, and underneath you've just got 200 meters or 660 feet in terms of water resistance. Other than that, it's a very simple dial. You've got white markers with a gilt style outline on them, and then you've got a gilt ridden middle track as well, or minute track, sorry. Again, this watch looks really nice and very, very simple. It has a very simple aesthetic. It is openly inspired by the Blancpain, the Omega and the Rolex from that time period in the 50s and 60s, and you can see that a lot of effort has been put in to pay homage to those watches just whilst keeping an original design, and I really like that. I think that's a really nice touch from Laurier. Covering the dial you have that nice domed piece of Tessellite crystal, or acrylic crystal as you may want to call it. Now some people will immediately be turned off by the fact that it's not sapphire. However, acrylic crystal, I think, in my opinion, is fine. In fact, it actually adds some depth of warmth to a watch that you don't have with sapphire crystal. all you need to do to keep care of this acrylic crystal is just take Polywatch with you. I've already used Polywatch a couple of times on this watch because I've already scratched and scuffed it, but it has come out really nicely and it still looks just as good as it did before. The bezel itself is really simple. It is 120 click unidirectional bezel. Yes, it's a little tinny when you play with it, but it is easy to grip and easy to move around, and the numerals are very simple on it. You just got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then your lume triangle at the 12 o'clock, and in between each of these areas at the 5, the 15, and on the 5 increments, you've just got lines that separate all of the others. Again, it's a really nice simple touch from Laurier. Finally, to finish on the dial, we have a screw down crown at the 3 o'clock position, which has the Laurier 3 chevrons stamped into it. It's a very nice touch, and you've also got drilled lugs as well, making it super easy to remove the bracelet and add on NATO straps, for example Bond style NATO straps, military straps, or anything else that you want to add on to this watch. This watch is actually quite a strap monster, so the good thing with that is having these drilled lugs just means that it's very easy for you to remove and to build up this watch into a one watch collection if you wanted to, or to really create a very versatile diver as a result. Now on wrist, as you expect, it wears really well, being a 39mm case diameter and a very compact 46 lug to lug. It doesn't disappear on the wrist because it still has a decent height to it, but the fact that this is more compact in the other dimensions means that this watch wears really well on wrist, regardless of whatever strap you are wearing. But is it all sunshine and rainbows? Well, no, there are still a couple of things that you need to be made aware of. First of all, I've mentioned the Hesalite crystal, the acrylic crystal. I am a big fan of acrylic and Hesalite crystals on retro reissues. I don't mind them. Obviously, in an ideal world, I would prefer sapphire crystal, but I do not mind Hesalite and acrylic crystal. You just have to be all right with it in order to buy this watch and enjoy it as well. So long as you've got lots of Polywatch with you, you should be able to make the most of it. The other thing that I think is a bit of a downside on Laurier's part is that this watch only has a 12-month warranty. Now, I know that other YouTubers and other reviewers have talked about this at length before. I do agree that the minimum warranty really on microbrands should be at least 24 months or 2 years. To be honest with you, 12 months is something that I think is a little bit lacking, especially in today's day and age. But those two really are the only, I guess, niggles that I have on this watch. Also, actually, I'm going to add one more as well. The bezel isn't amazing. It's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. There's no backplate and there's no bounce. It's just the feeling of it when it's in hand isn't quite as nice and snicky as some of the other retro reissue or vintage inspired divers that I've been playing with a lot recently. Overall though, I think this is a pretty nice looking watch, and I can see what all the fuss is about when people talk about Laurier watches and how nice they are. This Neptune is the third version, the third generation. Laurier are already on to their fourth generation of this watch, which again, free to have a look at on their website. I think they have some minor upgrades, but I think largely speaking it is the same as the version 3. You've also got the Falcon, which is a Garda style explorer homage of a watch. You've also got Gemini as well, which is a sports chronograph. Astra, which is again more of a sort of Garda watch / more dressier, and then you've got the Hyperion, which is a GMT watch as well, styled a little bit on the Neptune but with some added features. They've also got a few special editions as well, so keep your eyes out for those. I mean, I think I'll definitely be looking at more Lauriers as time goes on if I can find them available. I think they do offer some really incredible value for money for what you get. So that's my entire experience with a Laurier watch for the first time. What do you guys think of the watch? I quite like it, as I mentioned before. I think it's a good addition to my collection. But have you got Laurier watches? Have you got any of the other models? Let me know in the comments below. Take care, guys, and I'll see you all very soon.